All right, everyone. Welcome back to Restaurant Recap. I'm your host today, digital reporter at NBC Boston, Matt Fortin. And today I am joined by the president and CEO of the Massachusetts Restaurant Association, Steve Clark. Hey, Steve. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Matt. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I am good, thanks. So I wanted to have you on because a lot of people have been talking about this story that first broke last week, but it was surprising to a lot of people, including a lot of us here in the newsroom, that Starbucks is closing hundreds of stores across the country. And it seems like Boston is a big target for some of these store closures, with a number of stores closing across the city and also across some of the immediate suburbs. So we want to break down a little bit about what might be impacting these decisions at the corporate level and why the company is having to do this. So first, Steve, I love to hear your perspective on, all things, obviously, restaurants and what consumers are looking for. And I want to ask you to start just in general. I mean, what does the consumer in 2025 want from a coffee shop?
Well, I mean, it's very interesting having a coffee conversation in Massachusetts for obvious reasons. There's a lot of different people in the space and a lot of brand loyalty with people that are seeking their coffee. So I think they want it quick. I think they want it at a reasonable price to them, whatever their reasonable price is. It's all relative, and I think they want to be able to get it when they can. That's kind of the three different things people are looking for. One of the interesting things with Starbucks is, they announced a lot of closings happening, but it's less than 1% of the entire portfolio. So there's still going to be 18,000 brand locations that are happening. And I think what Starbucks is facing is the same thing that restaurants are facing is, consumers are facing price sensitivity right now. There's a little bit of, everything is more expensive, and whether it's the grocery store or your heating bill, your energy bill, your insurance costs, everything's going up. And I think you're starting to see that impact in the restaurant industry across the space, whether it's your morning coffee, your afternoon lunch, or your evening dinner. You are seeing that. One of the challenges that restaurants are facing is that since the pandemic ended, wage and hour costs are up 35%, and food costs are up 36%. And conversely, menu prices are up 32%. So there's in a low margin industry, you're seeing, higher costs, higher labor, higher food. Menu prices have gone up, but they're not keeping up with the actual increase. So, you're just kind of seeing that in the restaurant industry, just a general softness with sales. And I think the coffee industry is no different.
So I want to ask too. So in Starbucks case in particular, right? I mean, it's a coffee house, obviously, and people usually need a little pick me up on their way into the office, which I know I do, maybe more than one. And CNN Business was reporting on, kind of what we're talking about, what could be behind this, and they have some analysts talking about how, for some areas, the business office foot traffic still is not the same after COVID, with hybrid and maybe work from home people. So, I mean, do you see that as being a factor, particularly here in Boston? And, the financial, I think in particular of that location with the legendary Kettle Pot that has closed right at Government Center. So, I mean, do you think that office traffic is playing a role here?
It absolutely is a factor. And so even if, you're talking about people are slowly coming back to offices now, but, even if you're in the office 3 days a week, that's still only 60% of the time that you were there before. If you also think about it, a lot of these leases and a lot of these stores were probably signed before the pandemic. You're going back 10 years, 2015, 2016. And Starbucks is a data-driven company. They know where their consumers are making their purchases, and they know where they're originating that purchase from. So, maybe the location that they're going to go to is a half a mile away or what have you, but they know they have a direct connection with their consumer where that order is being placed. So I think it's a number of factors. Lease agreements are starting to come up. They're probably usually 10 to 15 years old, 10 to 15 years. So they were started way before the pandemic started. And then two, office traffic is down, especially in Boston. So, you see a lot of the targeted locations are places where there's less traffic, even if it's the same amount of traffic. As I said, it's 60%. versus 100%, that's still down. I think, Starbucks and coffee places have always been that, and I'm using their word when I say this, but that third place. There used to be home, there was business, and then there was your coffee shop where you could mingle and hang out. And in reading some of the statements that have come from the company, it sounds like they want to get back to that. They want to reinvest in the coffee house and give people an opportunity to do their Wi-Fi, do their meetings, do a call, do a conversation like this, where they're doing that. So it seems that the company is trying to invest in their locations to try to drive home that third location.
Yeah, I was noticing the same thing, and they're having the baristas, I guess, start to doodle again on the side of the coffee cups just to kind of give it that homey feeling. And I think that's interesting too, where is that a little bit of a separate market where, I just asked you when we started, what do people want from a coffee place, right? And, one of the things you mentioned is they want it fast. So is there a little bit of a different market from the people that want to do a drive-through, just want to run into Dunkin' Donuts and get on their way versus someone who wants that third location where they don't want to go home or they want to get out of the house, maybe they're working from home, but they need a change of scenery. Are those two different markets a little bit? You know what I'm saying?
So I think when Starbucks was having its growth period, they were hitting both. They were be able to do both. They were able to process the coffee order quickly, but then also give the coffee house feel. I've seen that they're also they're getting away from some of the harder to make and longer time food items that they have. And so they're kind of adjusting their menu as well. And I think they said they wanted to have an order completed within 4 minutes. So it does seem they're trying to hit the nail on the head with both, which is quick, accessible, but then also we're going to reinvest some capital into the location to get you to stick around. So I think they're trying to thread the needle there.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you feel like people are turning to? Because, clearly some people have had to, go somewhere else or do something else for their coffee. So, I mean, do you feel like consumers are just trying to be super thrifty right now and are maybe making coffee at home? I did that this morning. Or do you think that people are turning to more independent stores? Or I've seen a lot of these blank street coffee shops cropping up in Boston. There's one going in right in my neighborhood in Allston where the Twin Donuts used to be. That's going to be blank street. There was another one down the street on Harvard Ave and Brookline. So I'm seeing those start to crop up too. And you know what? I actually have not ever ventured into one, so I don't really know what their whole vibe is, but maybe there's some more competition for Starbucks.
So short answer is all of the above. Consumers are making choices with how they spend their disposable income, and again, we're seeing that in the full service restaurant world. It's not like that people are cutting it out completely, but if someone used to go out, let's say 8 times a month, maybe they're going out 4 times or 6 times a month. So you are seeing a kind of a thought process in how you spend that disposable income. 2, it's a highly competitive world. I mean, you are selling, a cup of coffee, which everyone knows they can make at home, but they want to pay for that experience of going out and getting it and interacting with it. So it's a very competitive market that you're in. It's kind of a fascinating conversation that we've been able to have so many different players in the space when essentially you're selling coffee.
Yeah. I mean, but people get attached to their coffee shops in their neighborhood, Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wonder if there's some opportunity here for maybe some other businesses or some other smaller companies in our area to move in if there's any bit of a gap where some of these locations are now empty.
So that would be an interesting analytical question. Again, I go back to Starbucks being a data-driven company, so they probably know where the sales are coming from. I imagine those leases that are coming up, they're not inexpensive to come in and fill those spaces. So, I would hope people are doing it right if they're coming into that area and they know what market they're getting into. But I feel that, Starbucks knows where their customer originated from and they know where they're buying their product. And it's going to be fascinating. The new CEO is the CEO that turned around Chipotle. So, if you look at Chipotle's growth and what they've done, so it does seem that he has previous success in kind of righting the ship with certain brands. And, I think he has an ambitious plan with Starbucks as well.
Yeah. Brian Niccol, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you do with, were they struggling at one point? I feel like they've always kind of been on the move.
There was a time, if you think back maybe 6 or 7 years ago, there was a time that There was some market pressures where they were kind of reevaluating, the cost of their ingredients and how it was going into in their pricing structure. But they've really only got into, their growth in the last 4 or 5 years. But I think he was there from 2017 to 2024. Obviously, there's a giant pause from March of 2020 to, late 22 with the pandemic. We kind of throw that time period out. But, there was some looking in the mirror with Chipotle and kind of how they were offering their product and how they wanted to expand. And since then, they have been expanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what do you think is going to happen to that location with the kettle pot there at Gov Center? I mean, there's got to be a coffee shop there.
I'm sure someone will go in there. I mean, that is still a high traffic area. Even if it's 60%, it's kind of an iconic location. Mm-hmm. I think you'll find something in there because just the location itself. It seems that, is it a quick serve breakfast place? Is it a something will go there.
That lease, though, to your point, has to be crazy.
I would, occupancy costs are extremely high right now, and that's one of the challenges that the whole industry is facing. So I would think that prime location has a pretty high threshold to get in.
Yeah. I mean, are rents coming down or leases coming down at all? Like, because I know that they not at all.
No, not really. It's one of the struggles of the restaurant industry is that occupancy costs, in addition to everything else, and health insurance, credit card processing fees, energy. It's really challenging right now, and I'm talking industry as a whole.
Yeah.
But even the average profit margin has gone down since the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, you talk about full serve restaurant probably averaging about 6% profit margin, quick service restaurant averaging 4%, with a quick serve averaging about 6%. Now we're about 2.8% to 4%. So you're putting a lot of work and a lot of effort into a restaurant for a very slim margin of return.
So how do you make that work as a restaurant owner if you're just getting smaller and smaller profit margins?
You have to be smart with staff. You have to refocus on when your profitable times are. I think we've seen since the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, restaurants were like, hey, I need to be open all the time. And you're kind of refocusing your efforts into, well, I need to be open the times when I'm profitable. And I need to look at my menu, and I need to, what is my labor cost? What is my food cost? What's an easy item to make? Or not easy item to make, but, what's more labor intensive? I think you're seeing streamlined menus. As I said, you're seeing streamlined times. You're maximizing what you do well, and then you're dabbling in things that you could grow in. Like, we taught people how to eat at home for takeout and delivery. That hasn't gone back down. Takeout and delivery is about 20 to 25% of an average restaurant. It used to be 10 to 15%. So making that accessible and just kind of making it work on the margins.
Yeah. Have you heard of other coffee shop businesses in Boston or Greater Boston or Massachusetts having these? I mean, I'm sure they are, because you're saying these are industry-wide things. But I mean, are other businesses struggling as well, or so far have we really just seen Starbucks with this notable announcement, I guess we'll call it?
I think everyone is feeling the effects, and strategically how they deal with it is different. Is it a one at a time? I think Starbucks recognized, and again, 1% on 18,000 locations.
Yeah.
So it's I think that strategically they said, hey, listen, we need to reevaluate these situations. We need to invest in I think they said they were going to invest in 1,000 more to make them, more coffee shop feel.
Yep.
And so they made that decision. But the impacts are being felt. Everyone's feeling it. Yeah.
And Starbucks, I mean, it's not like they're waving the white flag. I mean, they're talking about $1 billion effort, to restructure and revamp these restaurants and everything. So this really is, to your point, it's a strategic move here. I do just think, whenever I think people associate Starbucks with kind of just being a very lucrative business, because they obviously have been for so long. And I think they've just been, expanding so much, over the past 20 years or so. So I think it's always kind of a shock. And I know some people were like, how are they not doing well when their coffee is, it's on the pricey side. That's for sure. But, you get a good product.
I think it's something that global brands always have to deal with. When you get into that stratosphere, there are certain things that may impact the business, may not impact the business, and there's a number of different things that happen. So, you know, it's a different business structure than a local coffee shop. You know, it's
Absolutely.
you know, it's interesting. It's definitely fascinating with how they make their decisions and how they project growth and how they target their people. But you know, they're a global brand, making those decisions.
Yep. No, absolutely. So interesting to talk about, though, from our perspective here in Massachusetts, because you know what? Everyone needs a little coffee in the morning. Not everybody. I do.
I almost feel bad commenting on this. I don't drink coffee.
You don't drink coffee at all. So what do you do in the morning?
I drink water.
And that wakes you up?
Hey man, it gets me up. It gets me up. I'm full of energy,
Wow.
ready to go. I like to think I did it naturally.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, you like tea? You like Diet Coke? What do you nothing?
No, nothing.
No caffeine?
No caffeine. No
That's
caffeine.
interesting. All right.
I'm the outlier, clearly.
I think so. I mean, that's
well.
a little freaky. Yeah. I mean, good for you. I couldn't make it through the day. I don't even think I'd make it through the morning. I don't even know if I'd get out of bed.
Yeah. I always thought it would be, you know, when I was in college, when I started taking college classes, and then when I started working and had a real job, and then when I had a family, and it never came, and I said, all right, here we are. So
Wow.
famous last words. We'll talk in 18 months, and I'll have like a 5-cup a day habit. But now,
mean, if you've made it this far,
yeah,
why start? Yeah.
I'm hoping not to, but
Yeah.
you know,
No.
I still find a way to be supportive of our coffee shops, though. You know, there are other things that I will buy. Absolutely. So.
Yeah, a little muffin, maybe a little. The cake pops are good at Starbucks. I like those.
My kids love the cake pops.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, some treats.
So I mean, it's ironic. So a new Starbucks opened in my town, and it's very close to my kids' middle school and high school, and they're there every day. And you know, they're trying to buy something every day. So there's still success in the brand.
Oh yeah,
with their location. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Steve, thank you. I'm sure we'll talk again on the next big restaurant or coffee shop or whatever kind of story. So thanks so much for your insights into what's going on here.
Thank you for the time, and I appreciate being on.